Hey guys, Gemma from ASD Rocks. I'm going to talk to you about an extremely controversial subject, and no, it is not about vaccination. It's about the ability to talk to your child about anything. And I'm specifically going to talk about things that happen to our kids from usually during puberty or, sometimes earlier. And I'm going to talk about, to start with, I'm going to talk about boys and erections. And then we will get on to girls and their periods, because I had an extremely interesting conversation with someone who runs a group home for people with autism, and the difficulties they had with girls having their periods and understanding and what to do and those sorts of things. But I'll keep them in separate videos, because I think it's just too much information in one. And that, and the fact that it's also, for a lot of people, very confronting to talk about this sort of thing. It's very difficult to talk with their children about this sort of thing. But the problem that we have with our autistic kids is that they are not going to go off and seek this information from other people, okay? So they're not going to go to their grandparents, they're not going to go to their friends, and have those sorts of discussions. So it really, really is up to us as a parent to educate our children about what is going on with their bodies. Now with Bo, it happened really early. Really early. I would say he was probably around 10, and I don't think that it was sexually related at all. It was in a lot of ways autistically related. So I'll tell you exactly the situation it happened with, and you'll understand what I mean by that. So I was in the office one time, just sort of doing my thing, and Bo came running in. He said, "My penis feels funny." And I looked down and he had an erection, and I said, "Well, yeah, would do. You have an erection." And that was enough information for him. He was like, "Oh, okay. Oh, all right." And I said, were you watching anything? Were you on the internet? Were you watching anything, And he was like, "Yeah." And I said, "What do we?" He said, couldn't really remember, wasn't really sure, didn't really know. I said, "All right, well, yep, no worries." Anyway, I don't know, this is years ago, so I don't know if it was a week later or if it was a day later, but I was in the kitchen and I was chopping up, something, and Bo was sitting, and he was playing on the laptop, and I could see him stimming, because when Bo stims, as maybe with some of your kids, there's this physical, it goes through their whole body like they're being electrocuted. And all of a sudden he looked up and he said, "My penis feels funny again." So I bolted around, not to see his penis, but to see what he was watching. And he was watching Japanese anime. Now, Japanese anime, if you're not familiar with it, we're talking like Sailor Moon type stuff. Now, these girls, for children's cartoons, are the most erotic cartoons you've ever seen. Basically, they've got like the little tiny short, almost like school skirt with a little sort of shirt tied up here, very voluptuous, and knee-high boots, long legs, very un-Japanese, to be honest. But this was not what was making Bo excited, so to speak. It was the transformation So when these girls go from being regular girls to becoming superheroes, you would see it, they would sort of almost like from Beauty and the Beast, when Beast gets turned into the prince, you know, they sort of go into the air like this, you know, chest pushed out and arms back, and swirls of color would go around them, and it would follow from the bottom of the foot all the way up so that you could literally see these little white undies, you know, and the boots would change from, you know, black to white, and the skirt would change from whatever color to this, you know, whatever their alter ego was. But it was like between the visual stimuli and the sexual connotation, this created an incredible, you know, physical reaction in Beau. So I said to Beau at the time, he said, oh, my penis feels funny. I said, okay. I said, so it's Japanese anime. That's what does it for you. And I said, and you know what, kid? I mean, for me to actually have said these things, I don't think he comprehended a thing I was actually saying. But I was totally cool about it. And I said, you know what? You're not alone. Like, there's a whole Japanese anime culture out there of like middle-aged guys who are seriously into this. So that was the first time I remember Beau, you know, having to deal, or me having to deal with Beau having to deal with a physical sort of, you know, change in his body. He was far too young to masturbate. He was far too young for it to go anywhere. But the fact is that he had it. And I think it's really important that when these situations arrive, we address them just really very scientifically. You know what's happening is your brain, you're stimming, your brain is stimulated. It's caused, you know, a dopamine reaction. All the blood has rushed to your penis, and you have an erection. End of story. We don't need to go any further until we're required to go further. So as they get older, boys are going to start having what we refer to as morning glory. This is a real problem, because Beau came into me and said to me, oh, you know, I can't go to the toilet. And I said, well, what's the problem? And he said, well, I've got an erection and I can't sit down or push it down. I can't go to the toilet. So I said, all right, mate. I must admit, I did have to call a friend, because this was not my area of expertise, never has been. And I found out that there are a number of solutions. You can just wait a little bit, but ultimately it really doesn't go down until you have that first wee. So one of the things that someone suggested, which was really fantastic, was, because Beau had a shower in the morning anyway, was that he ran a shower and did his wee against the wall in the shower. That was extremely helpful, because he had to have a shower in the morning anyway. Also, the other option, if you've got one of those rotating shower heads, is that you can just turn the shower head and they can get into the shower, they can have their wee with the shower running against the wall, and that will make it go down. So these are the bags of tricks that I wouldn't have known, because I've never had to deal with them. Beau being my first, you know, I mean, I'm still dealing with autism, let alone regular, everyday, normal body functions for children. And I'm going to state it again, everyday, regular, normal body functions for children, guys, or for, you know, for kids that are growing up. It might be embarrassing to talk about. It might be difficult to find the words, but often you might find that, especially especially with our autistic kids, it's actually easier to talk to because they don't have that same emotive level. You can tackle it from like a purely scientific kind of viewpoint, and it does make it easier. But again, if I can help you with the words, if I can help you with being prepared for what's going to happen, and if you can start addressing it as early as possible, by the time it does come to the topic of masturbation, which again, people, please, it is a normal thing for our kids to do. Just because they're autistic does not mean that they don't have the same wants, needs, and sexual desires that we all do. And you can't say, I don't know what you're talking about, or you wouldn't have kids. So, we all have this need and sexual desire, and it is really, really important to help, not physically, your child feel comfortable and understand that. And if you wait until it's already the conversation about masturbation, it is too late. It is too hard for you to just launch right into a conversation like that. You know, it's just a massive topic. But like everything we do, like increasing their food, we don't dump an entire chicken on their plate and say, here, try this new food. We put a tiny little piece and we just let them get used to, having it on the plate. The color, the fact that it's there, just bit by bit. So the earlier you can start addressing the functions of the body, just like the hands, the feet, the toes, for balancing. The penis has a function, and it is so incredibly important that you start addressing these so that by the time you get to the subject, which is probably one of the most uncomfortable subjects, I think even more so than sex, I think masturbation would be a really difficult topic to discuss, because, you know, we've gotten to an age now, thank God, where we can talk about sex, and, you know, we can talk about when a man loves a woman and all that sort of crap. I mean, it's not crap, but, you know, what I'm referring to, sex isn't sex like it used to be, is what I'm getting at. Anyway, once again, so address it slowly, let it come naturally. Make sure that you are there and available, and that they know that you are there to talk to, because I think that is probably the most important thing out of all. I think, yeah, making sure that they know that they can come to you and say anything that they want, and you're not going to be embarrassed, because the only time these kids are going to be embarrassed is when you're embarrassed. Start planning this for yourself. It's like an NDIS plan. Plan this for yourself. You need to really realize that it is our duty to raise these children and fill in the gaps that our typical kids fill in on their own. And you're denying your child a normal life if this is not something that you can talk to them about and can address if and when the time comes up. So if you have any questions, you guys know I'm here. You guys know I answer all of your stuff. So just, you know, ask me. I'm here. Hope I don't get too much hate mail or child abuser or, oh God, whatever it was last time I addressed a sensitive topic. ASD rocks, guys. Mwah.